Hey, where are my 24s at? What's up, guys? This is GoldKarat, and this is the 24-karat review of Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human is an intriguing, futuristic, and cinematic experience with fantastic characters and an emotional butterfly effect story that really works well. If you're looking for cinematic, decision-based gameplay, it doesn't get much better than this. The developers behind the game, Quantic Dream, have always strived to achieve the best cinematic decision-based experience with their games such as Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. With Detroit Become Human, I believe they have finally realized their dream to its full potential. Detroit Become Human is set in 2038 and follows the story of three different android protagonists: Marcus, Kara, and Connor. In this world, America and other developed countries have gained the technological capability of creating human-like androids. These androids are treated like property, often parked as cars, and they're treated like toys, beaten, and very often killed without any remorse. The general plot of the game follows so-called deviants and how the androids will rise to destroy their human masters or have dialogue in order to gain equal human rights. Deviants are androids that have one point in their life disobeyed an order from a human and followed their emotion. The story of this game is a weird one to review as there are so many different possibilities that the story can take. To avoid spoilers, I'm not going to speak about my story experience, but just to know that depending on the decisions you make, your story can change drastically. So let's talk about the visuals of the game. This game looks... I don't know what it is. Recently, the games I've been reviewing have all been looking great, but this one especially looks fantastic. The detail on pretty much every model in this game looks so realistic. All of the characters look exceptional, and even though these are androids and they're machines, even when they're broken apart, they still look extremely realistic. Most of the game was captured with motion capture, hence why all the movement and all the animations look so realistic. The 24-karat club gave the game a 9.67 out of 10 for the visuals and cinematics on average. Let's speak about the characters in the game. Each protagonist has different goals. Connor, the latest android model to be created, focuses on hunting down deviants. However, Connor is also having an internal conflict. Depending on the decisions you make, Connor himself could become a deviant, or you can become a cold machine who solely focuses on his mission to hunt down and stop all deviants. Kara is a deviant whose goal is to protect the daughter of the household she was brought to look after. Without going into too much detail of what occurs, as Kara you end up in really rough situations, and your ultimate goal is to escape from it all and make it to Canada where there are no android laws. Finally, there's Marcus. Marcus has a very important role in the game which will determine the fate of all androids. The decisions you make as Marcus determine whether you take a violent or passive approach to determining the future and the rights for androids. The stories behind each of these characters are really interesting, and each of them develop well over the duration of the story. There are also some other excellent side characters such as Hank, Connor's partner, who is well thought out and has an interesting past and is often the voice of reason in the game. It took 11 hours for us to complete our first playthrough of the game, and that's just the first. The great thing about this game is the fact that you can see the tree of decisions you have made so far and what paths you have reached and which ones you haven't. And this reveals that by the end of the game, you will see complete trees that you haven't even started because of the previous decisions and actions you've made, which is pretty cool. The replayability of this game is huge, and discovering every single possibility on the decision tree will take you quite a while. After you complete the game, there are also extras that allow you to view different character models, take a look at behind the scenes of the game, to see how it was created as well. You're also able to go back to specific chapters to see all of the different outcomes for that chapter, which is really useful since there are normally at least 3 different possibilities for the end of each chapter. So all in all, there's a hefty chunk of content in this game. The story very clearly covers subjects such as civil rights, slavery, and even goes as far as the Holocaust. And whilst it can come across cliché or too blatantly obvious, I believe it works well in the game. and it highlights the mistakes of our past and present as a human race. The average story rating of the game was an 8.83 out of 10 from the 24 Karat Club. The gameplay mainly consists of choosing dialogue and actions that affect the story. During intense moments you will have quick time events that will get your heart racing and involve moving your controller about to really get you into the moment. With Connor, there are moments where you will investigate a crime scene and you'll be able to virtually rebuild and replay what happened in the past. These are really cool moments. As Marcus, there will be moments where you're able to foresee which actions will have what effects when doing parkour, for example, and which path is the most optimal route for you to take to complete your objective. These were both really cool features for both these characters. However, I feel like the developers sort of left out a unique ability for Karat to have. She's the only character that didn't have an ability that made her stand out from the other two. It's also worth mentioning that I loved the slick futuristic UI that appeared throughout the game. Also, the magazines in the game were really well thought out, so much so that I actually read every single one I came across, as it was interesting to read about the predictions of where the future will be headed. The 24 Karat Club gave the game 8.5 out of 10 for the gameplay. The music in the game I really enjoyed. It has the futuristic tone it needs and is also emotional when required. It was so good, in fact, that at one point in the game we questioned whether it was composed by Hans Zimmer, as some of the themes reminded me of the Dark Knight series and felt very similar to Zimmer's style, which is great. The OST, in fact, was composed by 3 different composers, each focusing on one of the 3 main characters, and with some custom instruments created for it, a lot of effort was put into the soundtrack and it paid off. A 9.17 out of 10 for the soundtrack and audio of the game from the 24 Karat Club. So finally, a couple more words about my experience with Detroit. I absolutely love this game. The story made me cry, not gonna lie, and it made me cry like a good 3 or 4 times. I haven't cried this much since The Last of Us, so that's a testament to the emotion and performance captured by the game. There were some performance issues here and there, especially when there was a lot going on screen. However, that didn't take away from the overall experience of the game, and for how good the game looks, it held up pretty well. There was a slight issue I had with the game though, and that was Connor. Connor died 5 times in our playthrough. Now, of course, this was my fault, as the decisions and mistakes I made ended up with me dying that many times. But I then felt as though I lost all care and, hope for Connor. Basically, he was a throwaway character to me. If he died that many times and kept coming back to life, it didn't really matter. I can see why the developers did this, as it does make the game somewhat more exciting knowing that your character has a lot more chances of dying if you make a mistake. And it did kind of make sense in the context of the story, as Connor was just an android being rebuilt each time he died, but it just reached a point of ridiculousness by the end of the game. And Connor can actually die up to 8 times if you really mess up that bad. Luckily, on our second playthrough of the game, playing as Connor was way better. I tried to stay alive much longer, befriend Hank, and also take the deviant pathway. This was by far the most entertaining playthrough for Connor, and the relationship between Hank and Connor is absolutely exceptional. If you're gonna play the game, I'd recommend following the deviant pathway for Connor on the first run. Also, as pointed out by Riot Nix, there were some things that felt off in the game. For example, how over-the-top evil humanity seemed to feel in this game. I swear, if I hear f***ing androids or you piece of plastic one more time.
F***ing android.
F***ing androids. F***ing androids.
Androids.
Not this plastic prick.
Like, seriously, man. And talks of bringing camps and getting rid of androids in camps, like, this is... I really don't think that would happen. I don't think humanity is that evil. I'm pretty sure we've learnt from our mistakes. At least I hope we have. There were also parts of the game where I kind of wish I had more choice. There was a part where you could choose to rat out or not rat out someone as Connor, and then there was also another part with Marcus when I was playing a pacifist run, and I couldn't choose if I wanted to kill this person or not, and it felt really strange because I tried super hard up until that point to not kill anyone. And so the final verdict of the game. There are great performances from the actors and actresses in the game. The emotional story and the world building and the intriguing future that Quantic Dream have built was really, really good. It resonated with me. I liked it. The decision tree and the butterfly effect was really done super well in this game. I love being able to see all of the possibilities and hunting down every single possible outcome. Connor felt like a throwaway character, which was a shame. He shouldn't be able to die that many times. I feel like that was just a bad decision, to be honest. And at some points in the game, there just seemed to be a lack of choice where there should have obviously been a choice. The 24 Karat Club gave this game a 8.83 out of 10 for the final average score. So with all of these points in mind, I am giving the game a 9 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews and highlights. If you want to watch the playthroughs live, then join us on Twitch, and you can join in with the reviews with us as well. You don't have to play the game to join in the review. A lot of the people just watched this game, for example, and then left their opinion. So please join the Discord below if you'd like to get involved with that. And the review is still ongoing, so you can leave your opinion now. The link is in the description, and you can see the updated scores from the 24 Karat Club. And until next time, 24s, this is GoldKarat signing out. Peace!